You remember Greg Folkers? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Your chief of staff is the answer. Do you remember Patricia Conrad? Who was that?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
She was your personal assistant. And what were these individuals doing in the depth of the pandemic in November of 2020 when millions of Americans were suffering from COVID? What were they doing? I tell you what they're doing. Folkers was on your behalf soliciting and gathering information for a cash award. Let's look at it. We've got his email right here, right over my shoulder. Folkers says, I'm working on this nomination for the Dan David Award for Fauci. We need to beef up the COVID part. Do you have language in the can that you could share that delineates how we responded in new ways to COVID? He sends this to multiple federal employees. What was the Dan David Award? Do you remember, Doc?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer based upon my rights under the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
It was a $900,000 cash award. $900,000 cash award. And he got it because he used federal employees to get it. And this wasn't the only award, was it, Dr. Fauci? In fact, you applied for and received at least 8 other federal cash prizes on federal time using federal employees and federal resources. Here they are over my shoulder.
All right, Shalom. I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, YAHAWAHSHI'S, Rakah, Kordash, double honors to apostles of GMS, and sincere Shalom to the brothers out there pushing this truth and sincerity. This might probably be a short video, but just watching this is just, shows that every single little thing in the society goes complete. It's basically wrong. We already know this. But for the people on the outside that really doesn't understand, there should be more than just enough evidence, because them shots that people was claimed that they were scared into taking, well, it backfired. You see, at first they was promoting it like normal, right? Not many people was bucking up against it, but some people was actually getting it at first. So they used the sweet talk. They used that Psalms 55 and 21, where it says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. So once it didn't work out, they said we got to up the ante. Now we got to threaten people with their jobs. Mind you, this is most likely it was a testing ground, especially to see how many people would take it, just like for when that chip come out. Same thing is going to happen. They're going to promote it all nice. It's already out now. People willingly get it. But when your jobs, your livelihood is on the run, what you gonna do? You'll see how many people back into it. No different than this. So it's almost, I can't even say it's funny, because using deceit and all sorts of things to get people into taking it really shows you what it is, what all this really is. Now, I'm not saying a lot of people didn't die from this. They portrayed it showing older movies or older things that people was actually dying from back in, like, I think early 1950s. I can't remember, but it was showing some disease that was actually overtaking people in other countries, and then they incorporated it till today to trick people into taking that jab. Now, to give you a better understanding, because now that they made money off of this, now they got to point their finger to somebody when all this stuff goes awry. Because now, because at first it was messed with the RNA DNA, right? A lot of people didn't figure it out till later, especially since the elder brought it up. Now what's happening is people are catching cancer behind it, and people are upset because now they know it is from the jab that they took multiple times, by the way, by different manufacturers. So before I get into this, I'm gonna give Micah 6:12. It says, "For the rich men thereof are full of violence; the inhabitants thereof have spoken lies, and their tongue is deceitful in their mouth." Now, we already know, for ones that's in the know, we already know that them bald hidden wearing hats at the back of your head rats are the ones behind us. But of course, they get this guy and make him the figurehead so where they could point the fingers to him. Now, to give you a better understanding, because you would think he should be in trouble for all this, right? But what about the ones who actually made it? Because back in 2019 is the time when you first heard about COVID. Then 2020, that's when they had the pandemic, lockdown things and all sorts of stuff, and get your shot. That was 2020. Now, how long did COVID last? It says right here, Salaki. Oh, didn't want to do that. It lasted from January 30th, 2020 to May 2023, which I'm pretty sure is probably a little longer. But that's when the pandemic ended, but the COVID was still running around. But as they said, not enough. Now, by that time, for 3 years, they've been making money, not just for people that was taking this stuff for free, but also died from the jab that they was taking. And those 3 years, they would have been making. I'm sorry, they would have been making money a little longer. But after about 3-4 years, even up to now, you don't hear nothing about COVID. You hear about fentanyl now, the next big thing. I forgot the other disease that they have out now. So that should tell you something. So the question is, sure, they have him as the figurehead of creating this, but who actually made it? Will you sit here wondering about these medicines that they feed these people? You had to question, if this thing it was lied to you, what about the rest of the medicines that you get? That's not to say if you have an emergency and they give you medicine, you have to take it. Don't be stupid and try to be like, I ain't taking none of that stuff. If it's to keep your butt alive so you can keep doing what you're supposed to do until the Lord takes you, because he says enough is enough, then it's a different story. But to be smart and understand, do not do stupid. Now, who creates medicines? Modern day medicines. And I type doctors or scientists. It says modern day medicines are the result of collaborative work between scientists, doctors, and other healthcare professionals. Let that sink in for a second, because and the elder brought this up because has brought this to attention as well. You have the back of the label that tells you what's in that stuff, and it tells you the side effects. But it's written so small, you need glasses just to see it. Then they promote said medicine on ads on TV, and then they have the nerve to speak really fast so you do not catch it. But then people will still get it anyways. And then you're relying on this medicine that has side effects that you had problems to then you got to get another medicine that has side effects that's supposed to counteract the one that you just took, but gives you another one. Then the cycle continues for another one. So it becomes a whole fest of medicines that you got to take, and your body's relying on it. And if you try to get off of it, your body starts having issues. What do you think those jabs do to you as well? They'll tell you, they'll speak the smooth words. that it has the disease in there, along with some other things that's supposed to counteract it. But did you know that vaccines all have problems that give them even last with you even into death when you look into it? This is Job 20:5. It says the triumphing of the wicked is short, and the joy of the hypocrite but for a moment. Now, because the whole plan is, like I said, this is the test. This was a test run, including all medicines as test runs, because they try it on animals, and then with us, you would think animals and people are two different things, but that's how they treat us. They want they they want to sorry, they want us off that bad that they gotta do it. They gotta finesse using medicines to take us down slowly but surely. Now, this just with the whole chip thing and everything was set up with pandemics and all sorts of things to pretty much take us down. He knows that we're a problem, so he feels confident enough to create all sorts of problems to take us out. But that triumph that he has against us, that's always short, because he's going to get paid back, and he knows it. That's why he's trying all sorts of ways to fight back against the upcoming prophecies that's going to be against him. Now, it says, through his excellency mount up to the heavens, his head reach unto the clouds, yet he shall perish forever like his own dung. They which have seen him shall say, where is he? So Esau, for all the things that he does, all the things he's doing because of who we are, is going to get is as it says through the scriptures, he shall perish forever like his own dung. That these jabs, planned pandemics, uh, creating scenarios where people just even I forgot the other word I wanted to say, where he just set up events to where people just dying left and right from terrorist attacks and all sorts of stuff. And this is just small stuff. This is just stuff he's like, fuck it, just go ahead and do it. We got bigger plans for these people. All this stuff is an account. And I ain't just talking about with medicines, food, and all sorts of stuff that goes on here. Esau's going to be paid back for every single one of the stuff he's did, including for how it all started. So, little one, this was a little edifying. And with that, shalom.